Hi everyone, how are you all doing? I thought it'd be interesting tonight to ask my viewers their opinion on rifles. So this here is my Mannlicher Pro Hunter. She's getting on a bit, but she's giving me fantastic service. 243 Winchester. Normally shoot the Normas, 100 grain. That's at foxes and red deer. Yeah, so I've had this old girl quite a long time, and it's never let me down. It's been a very good rifle, but for some time I've had space for a new rifle. At one point it was going to be a 30-06, and then I swapped it to 6.5 Creedmoor, and I've always fancied doing some driven boar shooting and going to Europe and having a go. So, and I'm not sure what to go for. I keep umming and ahhing, and I thought I'll get some input off my viewers, see what they think. But basically, I'm not sure what calibre to go for. I'm not sure to have a straight pull, or I used to have a drilling, used to have a gorgeous drilling. Got a grainy picture of it somewhere, I'll try and put it in the video. And it was a beautiful thing, and the gun making was amazing. And it had a set trigger, and when you selected the rifle, the little sight popped up out of the rib. It had quick detachable mounts and a Zeiss scope. The engraving was to die for, and it was the first thing that I bought. I left school and I started work, and the first thing that I bought myself when I had a full-time job was my drilling, and it was a gorgeous thing, and I had to let it go to buy my first car. But I really like that under snap action. Engineering was stunning. The gun making was just something else, and the scope, you could click that scope back on in seconds, and it never lost zero. It was a beautiful thing. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, do I buy a nice double rifle or a single shot? You know, something pretty. I'm looking for something. The Mannlicher, this Pro Hunter, it's a beautiful gun. It's I say it's beautiful gun. The barrel is absolutely stunning. This hammer forged barrel. When you look at the spiral, it's gorgeous. Obviously the synthetic stock. I suppose it was early days, really. It's a bit flexy on the floating side. You can force it to touch. But whatever anybody says about a Mannlicher Pro Hunter having a bit of a flexy stock, it groups. I've shot so many deer and foxes. It's been an absolutely fantastic gun. Like I say, it's never let me down. I've been out in all sorts of weathers, and So I'm going to keep the Mannlicher Pro Hunter with the Sightmark Wraith day-night scope on. Probably keep this primarily for foxing now. I've still got my little 2.2 hand shuts that I just have subsonics in. Do the odd fox with that, and a bit of vermin control. And we have been to Eaton Hall. That's the other thing. Eaton Hall are going to have their running boar target on at their rifle range, not far off the grand opening at Eaton. So we're going to go down there and we're going to have a look at that. We'll try and do a video on the open day at Eaton Hall, I think. But basically, I think it's getting to the point. I'm hoping Maeve will come with me, my daughter. I think it's time to start looking at a nice adventure, and expensive, obviously, and that's probably what the limiting factor is. There's Merkel's, there's some gorgeous, the Beretta BRX1. If you was having a rifle, what would you choose? Would you go for a straight pull? I fancy something a little bit different. Like I say, the Mannlicher was very different when I bought this. Most of my friends, they had American rifles or Seikos, and to be honest, I'd done a lot of shotgun shooting and not a massive amount of rifle shooting. So basically, I got into the rifle, and I really like the safety catch on the Mannlicher, because I like the position of it. And I'd looked at a few rifles, and I looked at this one, and I thought, well, that really makes sense. I like the position of the safety, and it's the safe bolt system from Mannlicher. And it was ahead of its time. So we've got the grey stud that sticks up. And that locks the bolt, so we can lock the bolt. She won't lift with the grey stud up. We can pop that down, and now the bolt will lift, and we can cycle, but the gun's still safe. We can pop the bolt back down. We can also lock the bolt closed. And there she is, she's locked, and the firing pin is locked. Such a clever design. So the bolt's locked down, it's tucked right up against the synthetic stock. And when we push the grey button down, roll the safety catch forward, up she pops. Safety catch still on. We can chamber her around, roll the safety catch forward, slide it forward just like I would on my shotgun, and I'm ready to go. Or I can use the set trigger. So we have an adjustable set trigger. If there's one thing I don't like, it's very heavy triggers on a rifle. I think it's so dangerous when they're too heavy. Obviously it can be dangerous when they're very, very light, but I think as a rule, once I had a gun with a 7-pound trigger on a rifle, man, you nearly turned around before it went off. It was like, oh. Yeah, so not only that, we've got the set trigger. So with the safe bolt system, if we set the trigger, the shot's not safe, the animal moves. We can decock it by rolling the safety catch back, and with the grey stud popped up, we've come off safe without firing the gun. So there you go. That's a lovely little feature, like I say. Grey stud up, bolts locked. Still safe, we can operate, roll the safety forwards, and it's just a really sound design. I've used it and never really think anything about it. I've just taken it for granted, to be honest. So that's the safe bolt system. If we want to take the bolt out, we pop the lever up, pop the grey stud up at the back, and out she slides. Pop her back in. And I have to say, I always thought that this bolt, I mean, obviously it slides backwards and forwards, lovely. But when we're locking it down, it's always been quite a noisy, tight lockup. Obviously, and like I say, I've shot many deers. I've shot this gun for such a long time, and you say these things, and it's been working fine. The other thing is we've got the 4-round double stack mag made out of polymer, which was another reason. So I think my friend's Rouge, he had the hinged floor plate magazine, so you couldn't detach your magazine, and you fed them in from the top. and I wanted a magazine gun, and the Mannlicher had it at the time, and even the magazines had a little bit of thought put into it. So it's got 2 notches, so basically if you fill the magazine, you can click it up 1 notch and say you just want to cycle your bolt, or you can cycle the bolt. It won't pick around it because the magazine's not high enough. Click it all the way up and she'll select. You'll gather up your round. But yeah, so that's the detachable magazine. I had 2 magazines. I bought a spare one when I bought the gun. It always meant I could have a magazine in my pocket if I needed it. Got a nice comfy strap on. Nothing too fancy. Got a nicer strap on me too. Yeah, and obviously everybody has an opinion on what they like and what they don't like and what a rifle should look like. And I suppose this gun's just been built up. I thought at the time when I built this gun up that the Harris bipod and the way it adjusted was the bee's knees back then. I think you can get carbon fibre and lighter things now and some good bipods, but really these were the only ones worth owning, I think, back then. And it depends where you're shooting, and you know, to be honest, I try and shoot from my sticks or lay down prone. So I've always used my sticks, and if I'm in a place where I can, I get down on the bipod. Now, I'm lucky enough to live in a very hilly location, so it's not like some places in the south of England or Lincolnshire where it's very flat. So there's normally good backstops. However, I would say that I live in sort of, or shooting quite an urban environment almost. It sort of is and isn't urban. But with permissions and different people owning parts of land and stuff, I've always tried to make sure that everything I shoot drops. And because of that, I would say by my second beast that I shot, I moved to a neck shot, spine shot in the neck, which I find it's not an easy shot. You know, you've got to be a good shot, make sure you know what you're doing when you're doing that. Yeah, you drop the animal. And some people say to me, oh, well, you have a 30-06 and you shoot him, you know, and if you take the front leg out, it's not going anywhere, and so on and so forth. Accuracy, and I think, and skill with a rifle is something I really strive for. Mostly because I can't have wounded deer running around where I am. I'm not in the middle of nowhere. So it's important that every animal is retrieved, is humanely dispatched. It's got to, you know, it can't be racing around and, you know, losing blood and the wrong people seeing it. Plus, no one wants that anyway. But for that reason, that's my own experience. You know, tell me if you've had a different experience. But so, beast down dead, accuracy. I've seen, you know, great big heavy bullets, and, you know, a badly placed shot is like, you know, they'll still run. Yeah, so I've always found the 243 on the big reds. It's quite an ask of the calibre, I think. I think in the UK at the time, I think the police were sort of leaning on it. You know, as sort of like the minimum required for that sort of beast, and I think that's what they wanted. They wanted the smaller calibre as they could get. But yes, so that's my 243. My experiences with it is that's all I've known really. I've always shot it. Like I say, I can only really think of 2 beasts that that have, you know, covered more than, well, let's say 50 yards. Yeah, and one of those was some dodgy ammunition. I went to a shop that I no longer frequent. I don't even know if they're still going. And I'd asked for some 100 grain 243, and they come back to me and said, "Oh, we can't find any." I said, "Well, I'll not bother then." And then they said, "Just let us have another look." And they came back with an old 100 grain bullet box, and I think they tipped some lighter bullets into it, sold it to me. Yeah, sad times, but there you go. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world, yeah, but yeah. I'd like to say, so I think 243, like I say, I've shot so many things with it, yeah, and this rifle, like I say, yeah, the environment that I shoot in, like I say, is you've got to be the best you can. The farmer landowners, they don't need any unwanted publicity or people getting upset because there's a wounded animal somewhere or anything like that. So I used to have a friend who came with me, and sometimes we'd back each other up if we thought we'd got a longer shot or it was closer to somewhere where we didn't want it to be or get to and we couldn't get. I'd have a friend with me. Now this friend, he got a suppressor. Well, I'm a bit of a stick in the mud. I was like, a suppressor on a centerfire rifle? What's the point? I'd heard him shoot it at targets and I thought, well, I can still hear that. That's not that great. And I really wasn't for moving. Anyway, one day we were out and he took himself off to a different part of ground, but within earshot, and he shot himself a beast, and I couldn't hear his shot. And I thought, well, they might not be subsonic ammunition, but they're obviously a vast difference. So I went out and I bought myself a suppressor. It's a JMS Arms. It's stainless steel. It comes back over the barrel. I got it in stainless steel. I think at the time you could possibly have just got it in titanium or lighter materials. But like I say, you know, I'm talking a while ago here. And eventually, you know, I treated myself. I thought, no, I will get one. And my parents used to know if I'd been out. They'd hear the gun go off if I'd be coming back. Successful. And and I came back. And my father said to me, "Have you got out?" And he didn't know because he hadn't heard the gun go off because I've got the suppressor on. But when you fire it, obviously, there's still a noise. But the difference, I think, downrange, or, you know, not at the set, is vast. And yeah, so there you are. I took some convincing, but suppressors are fantastic. I think it helps with the accuracy of the gun. I think it's a more accurate gun. It seems to shoot better with it on. My only thing that I think is, I wasn't sure, I didn't want to spend money on a lightweight moderator to find out that it didn't last, or that I broke it, or it wasn't for me. So I bought the stainless steel one, which was the cheaper option, but it has been absolutely fantastic. It works perfectly well now. Like I say, the gun's accurate. So that's my suppressor. We've got my Harris bipod. The only thing I think now, and since I've taken my Schmidt and Bender scope off and I've got this sight mark on it, the gun's a little heavier now. She's like over 13 pounds. Now, like I say, I always shoot off my sticks. When you've got heather and there's quite a lot of scrub, you know, undergrowth, really, my shooting could be anything from 50 yards to 150 yards. I'd say that most of my shots were about 120. That's where I normally try and take my shots. Stalking, not trying to shoot 300 yards. I have some friends who can shoot that. They're really confident, they shoot really well. But for me, and there isn't the space. The places that I shoot, there isn't, we're not in like a mass savannah of, we're not got all the ground around us. It's in the UK, I think a lot of shooters will, concur with me. It's a smaller place. In the UK, we haven't really got any will. If you're up Scotland, you might have a bit more ground, and a bit more of a cushion from the general public. So we have to be careful what we're doing, and this is the gun that I've got. And luckily, it took me ages. Leak Shooting Supplies have sorted me out. They fitted me this rail because I was struggling to get one for the Pro Hunter. We had to have the middle taken out of it because although the spacings for the pickups were at the right distances, the distance in between them wasn't right. So he's fashioned this for me. He did it a really nice quick turnaround for me so I could get it on the gun. And it's been on the gun, and the gun shoots really accurately. She's a great thing. So, what do you think I should get? Do I go for the straight pull? What calibre? Now I've ummed and ahed about calibres. 1 minute I want a 30-06, then I'm thinking I'll have the 7mm Rem mag. Then I think, what do I want them for? I'll get a Creedmoor. I don't like kicking, I don't want knocking about. I shoot with 243. Obviously, like I say, it's quite a heavy setup. I am wanting to go a bit lighter. I think since my motorcycle accident, I haven't shot this gun much. It's like a year or two ago. I'm not as strong and I'm not as fit as I used to be. And I did notice, the weight of this rifle, probably for the first time. Like I say, I'm a bit older, and after my accident, I find it a bit harder. So I'm thinking maybe something a bit lighter, something nice and interesting. Like I say, possibly try and get away and do a driven bore shoot. We'll definitely go and try the rifle range at Eton. Give me your opinion. What would you go for? Would you go for a European calibre? 6x62 or, one of the real big ones? Or them calibre? Tell me about them. I'm interested. I'd like to know. Do you stick with a 30-06? For ammunition, I suppose, really, there's always been 243. I know that when I go to the rifle shop, there's 308, 243 and Creedmoor. There's bucketfuls of it. Whereas, once you start talking more obscure calibres, obviously the ammunition's less hard to get hold of. But at the end of the day, unlike shooting with shotgun and with clay pigeon shooting, you're not getting through the same amount of rounds. You can go to the rifle shop. Like in the UK, our certificates, you're allowed to buy a certain number of rounds and you're allowed to hold a certain number of rounds. And they're quite expensive, so you're not getting through them like you are the shotgun. So I suppose if it is harder to get hold of and a bit more obscure, and you find the ammunition that suits your rifle, it's worth doing if that's the calibre you want. So I suppose I got into the rifle shooting not long after I'd finished my first job. I went to a place called Lyme Park, which is run by the National Trust, and they've got a large, they had some fallow as well, but red deer. And I suppose really they're like an enclosed herd. They're supposed to be fenced in. It was almost impossible. Yes, as a Lyme herd, the National Trust were trying to keep the condition of the animals the best they could. There was they had to cull a lot of animals every year. and I went as a trainee, and the head warden was a bloke called Shane Bates. Absolutely fantastic man. Learned a lot from him. And Shane, he had a Seiko in 308, and he would go out in the morning while the line park was closed, and he'd selectively try and improve the herd as much as he could. Compared to the wild reds in my area, they were never as... You had some nice beasts, you know, they had some nice ones, but they're just... Whenever you enclose anything, you limit the food, I suppose. Anyway, so that was the red deer herd, and Shane controlled it, and I'd go rushing to work, or my trainee job as it was, and I absolutely loved it. I was fascinated by it. And even things like finding a tapeworm and cutting it all out and measuring this, and you know, and the whole side of it was a real education, and that's what set me off. And my father wasn't into rifles, and that was really where it all started, on the deer front. Yeah. So, yeah, times are changing. We're thinking we might go for a straight pull. We're not sure what calibre to go for. We're not sure if we want a Merkel, a Beretta, a Blazer, or... Yeah, or what we should go for. But yeah, please give me your opinion. Let me know what you think. And I think next time, I'm going to try and do a little video eating on their open day. I might do something before then. But if you could like and subscribe and comment, I'm intrigued to see what people's opinions are of calibers and styles of rifle, silencers, what silencer you think is good, what bipods you'd go for, what sticks you'd use. Oh, minefield. Yeah, sticks, caliber, everything. Please drop me some comments in and let me know. We'll see you all soon.